creatures are there here. Oh, brave new world that hath such people in it. And that's what I'm thinking, looking at you guys. So, all right, who's first?
Mark Sweetum, the epic poet from Hebron.
Mark Sweetum.
Former paper mill worker, turned scholar, turned medical coder extraordinaire in the field of cardiology.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Quite the introduction. He was
Dear madam, or sir, beloved friends, fellow conspirators, this is how we will begin when we return to letters, which we soon must do. The announcements will continue online. This or that event at 7 on such and such a day, etc., etc. But the substance will be written with pen and hand to capture and prolong the moment. Communiques enclosed in envelopes, shielded from the prying eyes of the surveillance apparatchik, will, upon receipt, be opened with care. We bask in the greeting and taking note of the labor and style of your penmanship. We will find one to speak aloud your heartfelt thoughts. Pondering every phrase, we imagine your face and the tone of your voice becoming like children on their mother's lap at bedtime. Read it again. And having hung on your word, we sleep. Your character appears in our dreams, and your metaphor, however far-fetched from the distant land of what could be if only, will come to us in the dolder moments of days to come, when our minds slip briefly free from the trenches of absurdity, where we hunker beneath an endless barrage of data, the shrapnel of marketing, the mustard gas of must-have, choking and disfiguring, forcing us to wear masks that make us all look alike and peer through narrow lenses, constricting our vision, blinding us to any other possibility. In this pause, before the bugle sounds the next charge, a patriotic hymn to protect the tyrant of never enough, who lives far from the front in the lap of luxury and drives us to launch an assault across a no man's land, blasphemed with the broken barricades and barbed wire of nationalism, the scorched earth of global free trade, a landscape of apocalypse now and more to come, littered with unemployment and refugees, the corpses of the landless obsolete, posted and verboten, the very obsolescence of land for the living. In this pause, pilfered when the chain of command is inattentive, I take your letter from the pocket over my heart and read the first verse, sotto voce. Pausing, I pass it to a fellow conscript on my left or right, and they utter your words like a creed, an affirmation of life rising up from the grave, kindling hope that the flame of sanity still burns in another. Therefore, please, however infrequent, write me, us, a letter. Our tears will stain the parchment, the ink running like your logic through our minds with the force of flu in the trenches, wasting the will to struggle in vain for doctrines decreed by degenerates. When the emesis of anger and the fever of frustration break, leaving us weak and exhausted, but immune by reason of coming to our senses, then we too will abandon this war of attrition. Deserters returning to a home none remember. Our feet harrowing the ground beneath us, letting it rest and lie fallow, where absent the bombardment of busyness and the strafing staccato of commerce, it regains fertility. Weedy ideas, germinating in the silence. Weedy ideas, germinating in the silence. Thank you, Mark.
Cynthia.
Cynthia. Come on now.
No. I'm pro fat, for sure.
What would a Jesus-scented candle smell like? Midnight Mass or sweaty confessional? Or it just might smell like burnt wax. I haven't been to that high, holy house in decades. I no longer speak to God. He's grown deaf in his old age, and he no longer sees me, the melancholy little Catholic schoolgirl who lost her virginity years before she actually lost her virginity. Losing her mother was more defining. I light my own unholy candles at home, one by one, until my house looks like a high holy day. All I need now is a risen mother, but she won't be doing the big return, all healthy and whole. February was the funeral month, not the best way to start the year. Death came at you fast. Mine lingered for a full year. We got the upgraded package, 3 months to 6 months to a full year. We should have celebrated the moving target of the cancer diagnosis. Instead, we only allowed the end to finally overtake us. The quiet and still July 31st that became August 1st, her last day, her expiration date. Maybe a winter death would have suited us better. We could have wrapped ourselves in a snowy white blanket and hibernate until our grief was over. Summer is for the swelling sunshine, not for the blooming tumor that migrated here, there, everywhere. The winter earth is unyielding and the sky covers us in white clouds, enclosing the point in time of death. While the sunny Sunday summer day released her from the brutal bosom of a deadly flower, a stinking Benjamin that poisoned the air around us. After August, I waited for autumn to kill everything else I loved, a scorched earth scenario in which I live. We closed Bedlam, and that dwelling of misery became another's. I thought we would lock the doors and forever let it be your tomb, a house neatly nestled between cemeteries. Who would want a house painted in a cancerous pink and purple, bright colors never to be covered over, colors that bled like you, no matter how many coats smeared on the walls? Would they notice the bloodstains on the brick from the day your confusion made you fall and split your elbow open? It needed stitches. But we were afraid of the half-gone skeleton you had become. What if we too caught this unwelcomed guest that entered you, eating away the illusion of who you were? Would they find that last Christmas present you bought for me, forever being that one most perfect, mysterious gift? I too became a patient in that bedlam, not knowing my role. Daughter, caretaker, patient, doctor, saint, sinner. I followed behind you down the long, hollow hallway, where I noticed the devil was destroying you step by step, a magnetizing monster making you sicker in that steamy summer.
Thank you, Cynthia. And from Wyndham, Maine, Wayne O'Brien.
So I read both of these last week, so if you were at that reading, then just bear with me. I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna talk to you again.
Yeah.
And then there were the smiles of the children that replaced salt with sugar and rain with honey. Laughter trampled the doors of the orphanage. You could hear little voices singing. Chains rattling harder than before, but innocence could not breach its promise, and the moon kept its word as well. It told the children that freedom was a state of mind and cost nothing more than attention. Helicopters twirling like a balmy snow, and the water of the pond was busy with life as the guardian angel looked on. The children baptized themselves and found their way outside of prison walls, walls where the sinecure pretend to shine. The water was bitter to most, but piquant to the littles that sought freedom from the pernicious toxins. And the old angel coaxed them ashore with a determination and refused to rescind their permission to dream. I have no idea what that was about.
Love that. Do that all the time.
So I wrote this one the other day. I was on my morning hike, and I crossed this bridge and I sat and stared at the water, because that's what poets do, right? They stare at things and find words and pretend to be profound. And being the old man that I am, approaching my autumn years, I compared both water with time. So this is the fluidity of time. My fascination with water is probably a derivation of the wonderment and curiosity of life. Water and time seem to be identical twins. Forgive me if I incidentally plagiarize those before me, but as I watch a stream or flowing river, I see a resounding similarity with passing time. Each bubble, each froth or ripple, each cubic inch of water passes by on its way to its oceanic resting place. As it flows, it's never to return again, like each minute or each second on the clock. What we do with it as it passes is our most valuable decision. As water flows by, do we bring it to our lips, bathe in it, or angle in it for food or recreation? Or do we merely watch it hypnotically, cathartically, in full enjoyment? Each piece of water, each moment of time is up to us, and when it's gone, it's gone. And how do we measure each piece of water? Because if not for horology, moments of time couldn't be framed. A piece of water is a moment of fluidity. Do we measure water as time? Do we stand on a bridge and focus upstream, looking forward to the moments to come, considering upstream as the future? Or do we consider upstream as what's behind us? After all, downstream is what takes us to where we're going, right? Or downstream, in fact, is the past, what has gone by and what has happened and will never happen again. So it seems water is life and life is water, and both flow by, changing over rocks, every structure in its path, shape-shifting with every movement of time. Bruce Lee once said, if you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. If you put water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Well, what if we could put time in our hands? Does it become our hands? I believe in ways not so abstract that it does. Time is in our hands. I guess looking into water teaches us that each moment of time with its brevity is completely up to us. Drink from it or leave it be. No matter your perspective on downstream or upstream, when it passes, like time, it will never return.
Bill.
Bill Frere,
Frere.
come on down. Auburn's fun, from Auburn, Maine. From yours to you.
Now I'm from Lewis.
Well, okay.
I did live in Auburn, now I'm in Lewis.
All right,
Okay.
community
Let's
guy.
get it straight. I have two short poems. The first one is with four separate voices from Gaza and Israel, called Hate is Reciprocal. My tears will not end. Leah, my beautiful daughter, only 19, has been raped and butchered in the desert. I will never know them, but I despise them. What can I do but cry? What will our Gaza be now? We have no more home. My little ones are hungry, days, weeks, months. Now, what is left? Blood and dust, pieces of our children. Oh, Allah. Why am I here? To find Hamas, they say. What did they even look like? Like all the others. We find a tunnel. I'm ordered to go investigate and see a man. I'm scared. He looks at me, I shoot him. How many will I have to shoot? I am so young, yet my family is gone, everyone. My mother, my father, aunt, and sister. I have no house. Why? What did we do? I will always hate the Jews. I will avenge my family. And the next one is just about my house and me. When my house is empty, of me at least, and my children walk into the cold, old, cold place, they will probably sit at the table, probably make some tea, and discuss what needs doing. They will work out who wants what. I hope they want some little things that remind them of me, like when I kept my mom's green depression glass salt shaker. I imagine they will each want some of the art splayed all over the walls, and maybe a piece or two of furniture, some Mexican artifacts, photos. That's probably all. Soon, another family will move in, repaint the walls, add heat pumps, maybe rebuild the deck. Maybe they will wonder who lived here, if anybody died in the bedroom, if the basement stays dry, and if the neighbors are nice.
Thank you, Bill. So, Anna Robel, come on down.
It's a poetry thing. Everybody does it. It's on her song. Thank you. Snap it. But then when it's really good, it's just like, everybody's been good tonight. So I'm just
Hey, Mark Sweetum, this is dedicated to you. The reason it's I dedicate poems to people who tell me, gee, I like that poem, will you email it to me? So this is dedicated to you. Because you did that once. So this is called Dear Doctor. My eyes have been bothering me of late, somewhat red, often dry, at times too wet. By nightfall, I know the Sandman's roll in sleep, and by morning, tiny rocks roll out from eyelids and corners. I could get a prescription or opt for over-the-counter, shelves stocked full with eye drops from chemical-laden to all-natural. I'd even lay down good money for the latter, but gave it up after a few tries, having figured out what the trouble might be. It's all about tears. I think I need to cry more, to water my eyes, permitting sadness and grief to be themselves. That there is so much to cry about is reason enough to cry. Of course, care must be taken to prevent a pre-existing condition from becoming a permanent one. But I have a chronic case, and it's high time I admit it. I started writing poetry at 10, but I am an American historian and a teacher, so I'm giving you that as context for this poem. Okay? On the walls of a history classroom. Most of the people on my walls are gone. Washington, Rosa Parks, Mark Twain, Louisa May, Einstein, Irina Sendler, even the Three Stooges. I deal in history. If there are any of them alive, like Obama on the cover of my Columbia Alumni magazine, then they are not yet history, though they may be making it. It has been my lot in life to think deeply about dead people, many with names we know, most who will be nameless, but who nonetheless go to where the famous go. And where would the noteworthy and notorious be but for the nameless? Those who collectively carried them, those whose shoulders they stood upon to look taller and farther than the rest. It's a strange career, history is, a calling from the deep of many graves. Give us life, give us breath, they call to me. Walk in our shoes, they say, and let us walk the earth again in yours, speaking with one voice. Again, in the context of American history, Jim was telling me that Turkey, there's a gold mine in Turkey that's leaching cyanide into the Euphrates River. And I understand that there's a battle going on in Maine about mining as well. So this is called Full to Empty. There is a reference to Alexander Hamilton. I swear I wrote this 2 years before the Broadway play. So yeah. And that's true, right? Full to empty of toxic fracking and rare earth mining. I am afraid to do what Alexander Hamilton did. Predict the future almost to the day. He observed what was around him, calculated along the nexus of an agenda, and pulled foresight from the mixture. Love him or hate him, I must report that he got it right. But I am afraid to do as Hamilton did, to fully see, to clearly tally. Now do we neither see nor tally in once vast oceans of potential, the world itself drained of blood, its spleen for growing anew, cracked to crystals, extracted like a tooth, pulled bare from the cradle. It hurts. The mining, the taking, the breaking, the piercing, the bleeding, it has to stop. I am afraid to do as Hamilton did. I cannot predict the future, not knowing what to count. He did not live to know his vision, and neither may I, but that is not the point. I may have one up on Hamilton, for I think I know what duel to fight. And I'll end with just one. This is, think of any villain you want to think of. This is really my hope, but I gather in the case of one particular villain, it's just a fantasy. So this is called, The Villain's Gonna Get His. The villain's gonna get his comeuppance, his just desserts, his head hung low, his possession of pain like the pain he's given away. The villain's gonna get his. The villain's gonna get his heart put back in its place, his mind mindful of others' minds, his soul longing for sweet reunion, his humanity displaced, recovered. The villain's gonna get his. Just you wait, just you wait.
Yeah, you want some?
We are doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you guys so much for the wonderful poetry and also the fact that
Maybe sit
we're being prompt and timely. So Dennis is gonna sneak one in right here.
Boy, Dennis.
All right, I have like 7 or 8 new poems, but none of them are ready. So I'm gonna read.
What is that, teaser, Dennis?
That's a promotion for my next book, which will be, thanks for the assist. Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson, thank you very much. So I'm gonna read one poem from my book, Comb by Crows. This is called Encounter with Roofer. I used to live in Kennebunkport, and I lived in a little cottage in the woods, and I bartended in town, and it was really an interesting life. And anyway, one day my landlady, without telling me, had a bunch of roofers show up and start hammering away at my roof. Encounter with Roofer. When he drops his hammer for a noon sandwich, he's like a Buddha atop a grand stupa, as bare feet set over the eaves while he reads Thich Nhat Hanh's Peace is Every Step. And thinking his earlier noise is bad karma for making my morning writing an uphill rhyme, I Sherpa into the sacred space of his lunch break and discover he's